Brahma and Lord Shiva once had a heated argument that the latter's fury had erupted, threatening to burn Brahmanda. Realizing how vicious that energy was, Lord Shiva had deposited it in the womb of Anusuya, wife of Atri. Born out of this caustic emotion, the sage's temper was perpetually on fire, and that had earned him a fitting name, Durvasa, one who is difficult to live with. Nothing was more renowned about sage Durvasa than his temper. Once the sage came across a nymph wearing an exquisite garland of Vaijanti, symbolizing good fortune. He had never seen such flowers, inhaled such a fragrance. Taking the garland from her, Durvasa placed it around himself and began strutting through the universe. As he neared the gates of heaven, he saw Indra astride his elephant. Feeling a sudden spurt of generosity, Durvasa offered him the garland. The Devraj hauled it up with his spear, but instead of adorning himself, he placed it around his elephant's head. Alas, the aroma of flowers overpowered the animal and it tossed the garland to the ground. Wretched fool, the sage bellowed at the god. How dare you mock my gift? Have the devas stopped venerating saints? Indra leapt down and touched his feet. I meant no disrespect, Holy One. This garland of Vaijanti can only be worn by someone who has transcended all ego. I know I have not done that yet. But the sage was quaking with fury. Your plea will not undo your act. This kingship of Swargaloka has filled you with conceit. Seated high on the elephant, you look down upon everyone. Not anymore. I curse you that just as you have disowned these flowers, good fortune too shall disown you. The words clung to Devraj now and began sucking the life out of him. As Indra began to waste away, so did the grandeur of his Loka. Gold lost its sheen and gems gave up their sparkle. Trees turned barren and weapons were no longer potent. Nothing was thriving. Every element was decomposing. Realizing that heaven had turned powerless, the demons invaded, led by Prahlad's grandson Bali. They annexed Swargaloka and established their rule. Indra and the gods were now standing crestfallen before Vishnu. The preserver sighed. Durvasa's curse is irreversible. The asuras are emitting flames like never before. What can we do? Varuna implored. If they have fire, you have water. Everyone saw what Vishnu was pointing at, that raging leviathan, those heaving waves as if a beast were breathing in and breathing out. You are forgetting that the very universe that fills us with darkness also offers light. The solution is all around us. We must churn this ocean of milk. Churn ksheersaagar? Indra frowned. What will that yield, Sri Hari? Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and fortune, of all that is auspicious. Once she rises from the waters, Swargaloka will be yours again. But their faces were appearing more terrified now. The ocean, Agni shuddered. This boundless stretch of water that hardly begins or ends, even if all the devas unite, we shall fall short of completing this task. The preserver nodded. I know that. I shall call a truce with the demons. You will join hands with them and do this together. Join hands with the asuras? Vayu flared. Yes, only your combined effort will draw up the ratnas. Ratnas? The riches lying in the womb of ksheersaagar, each of them symbolizing dharma, artha or kama. They shall not only fortify heaven but also benefit the whole universe. The demons will never agree. Nothing will make them aid us in any enterprise. Not even to procure Amrit? Amrit, that word, that one word, it changed everything, lashed on to every tongue. Amrit, We shall acquire Amrit. Yes, Vishnu smiled. The ocean will yield many Ratnas, but none more miraculous than Amrit, the nectar that will turn anyone who sips it immortal. Once the demons are informed, they will readily participate. But they will also demand their portion of Amrit. Indra hissed. Are you asking us to share that elixir with them? Ideally, you should. Daityas and Danavas are not only your half brothers, but they will also constitute half of the force required to draw up Amrit. But for the sake of Brahmand, we cannot let them become immortal. Besides, Mahadev has already blessed them with Mrit Sanjeevani, making them practically deathless. I shall ensure that they do not lay hands on the nectar. Thus assured, the gods approached Bali with a proposal. The demon king was a gentle soul and promptly agreed. How can I not heed to the word of Sri Hari? We would be honored to cooperate. The day dawned. Ksheersagar was seeing what it had never seen before. Devas and asuras were standing together. The blood in their veins was acknowledging their common pedigree today. The spark of Brahma, that seed of Daksh, but their faces were like the water around them, welcoming but laced with invisible salt. Churning needs a rod and a rope, Yama said, but this is an ocean. What tools can measure up these mammoth proportions? All eyes turned toward Vishnu. I shall uproot Mount Mandara and place it as a churning pole. He replied, and the serpent Vasuki will be your rope. Soon the mountain was resting above the heart of the ocean, and the serpent was wrapped around its 3.5 times like Kundalini around a spine. The demons grabbed its head while the gods held on its tail. The churning began only to instantly halt. Something was amiss. Mandar was getting dislodged. Not anchored on the ocean floor, the mountain was floundering. As all the faces crumbled, they saw Lord Shiva smiling at the preserver. It's time. Lord Vishnu morphed. His body was transforming before their very eyes, budding new limbs and a new head, sprouting a gigantic upturned shell. The Lord had become an amphibian, a giant tortoise. Hail another avatar, Brahma eulogized, Kurma avatar. Diving into Ksheersagar, the tortoise steadied the mountain on its back, with Mandar propped atop firmly now, churning resumed in earnest. The gods were pulling Vasuki's tail and the demons were pulling its head. The mountain was rotating clockwise and anti-clockwise. Gandharvas, Yakshas, and Nagas appeared to witness its cosmic event. The great ocean being churned with this massive mountain, every divine was on one side and every demonic was on the other. The preserver himself had incarnated to cradle this colossal process. Never had anyone seen such scale, such magnitude. Seen the devas and asuras working towards a common goal, giving birth to an occurrence so epic that it would forever resonate through every yuga. Ksheersagar was bubbling now. The motion of Mandar was generating high energy down its core. That kinesis was radiating outwards, forcing the water to move in a spiral motion. A giant whirlpool was spinning as the ocean frothed and foamed. Vasuki's body had begun scraping against the mountain. That vortex was turning violent, scouring that expanse of water. As the force gushed through the spine of the ocean, it began sucking up what was lying below. Look, they screamed. The Ratnas were surfacing like cream floating on the top of milk. Kalpavriksha, Brahma identified, a wish-fulfilling tree. Airavat, the 5-headed elephant. Uchashreva, the 7-headed horse. Kamdhenu, the cow of plenty. Kaustuv, the jewel of consciousness. Varuni, the deity of wine. Rambha and Menika, Apsaras divine, Parijat, the ever-flowering tree, Panchajanya, the celestial conch shell, Sharang, the mighty bow, Jeshta, the deity of misfortune, Lakshmi, Shri incarnate. The universe rejoiced. Wealth had arrived. Fortune had surfaced. Lotuses were blooming and coins were clinking. White elephants were sprinkling water. The 10 directions were singing Shri Sukta. Suddenly, the brine started to boil. Foul fumes were thickening into a fog. The miasma was spreading all around, darkening the sky, scorching the air. Had their churning awakened a sea monster? Halahal, the creator identified. Poison? Poison, the god screamed. Sri Hari never told us anything about poison. Brahma smiled. Didn't he say that where there is light, there is darkness too? That's rising up now. Oozing from the middle of ksheersaagar as if a wound was festering, coating that water with toxic scum, the lions of the ocean were discharging a venom so wild that it was threatening to dissolve Brahmanda. This deluge will devour all creation. Indra shuddered. We must contain it. There is only one vessel that can do that, Brahma said and pointed. They looked. Shiva was wading through ksheersagar. The poison was swirling all around him, conspiring to spill over to the shore. He bent and joined his palm underwater. The halahal? Bali screamed. It's shrinking. Lo and behold, the venom was imploding, rushing into his palms as if being pulled by an invisible osmosis, filtering off the ocean water and collecting in his grasp. The sea of toxin had contracted into a mere fistful. They watched with wonder as Shiva raised his hand and drank. He whose wrath had spewed Durvasa was swallowing this poison now to save them all. As the halahal trickled down, terrified Mata Parvati placed her hand on his throat. The action changed the venom right there, staining his throat blue. Neelkant, the gathering chorused with tears in their eyes. Neelkant, the blue-throated one. The gods and demons heaved one last time. Their wrists were aching, their fists were slipping. Vasuki was tightening as if it would crack Mandara. Its body was bleeding, its skin was peeling. As they wrenched the serpent in one final tug, Ksheersagar birthed again. A being emerged now, bearing a golden vessel. Dhanvantri, Brahma announced, Lord of Ayurveda. And that vessel, they asked, Amrit.